I have two dependent. You cannot differentiate. So because of that, ESSN plus name will be just a connected line. Some of the textbook forget to connect. That doesn't make sense. So connected line. Okay. Then one more thing is, in case of the weak entity, this ESSN should be in the employee table. How can we represent? Using foreign key. So you can create the foreign key relationship. So from this weak entity, this ESSN to the SSN, primary key of employee. This is a foreign key. Okay, that is the next step. So in case of the step 2, the weak entity, we can create the table or relation plus the foreign key for the identifying relationship. So that is the second step. The next step is we already took care of the entity, weak entity and strong entity. The next one is a relationship. There are 3 different types of the relationship. One-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. So let's discuss many-to-many first, then many-to-one. Or many-to-one first. Many-to-many and one-to-one. Okay? So one-to-many. So what is a one-to-many relationship? Many employees works for one department. Many-to-one relationship. What else? One department control many projects. And what else? One supervisor supervise many employees. Okay? It's a one-to-many. So in case of such a one-to-many, many-to-one, we are going to create what? Do we need to additional table? No, we don't need. Do we need to additional relation? No, just the foreign key. That's pretty much enough. For example, so we have the department. For the department and to the employee, so we need to create DNO, okay, as the attribute of column of employee. Then this DNO exists in where? Primary key of department, which means whenever we create a new employee should be at least one of this one, the department. And okay, then also we have the department to the project, which means DNO, controlling department, project to the D number. Okay, and what else? Supervisor. Supervisor is the employee supervising many employees, which means there is a manager social security number for each employee. Okay, this manager social security number also exists in the primary key of the employee. Then that is the many-to-one relationship. Okay, don't be confused. The direction of foreign key, referencing. So this is a referencing. Okay, this one should be in this target reference one. Okay. Anything else? Is there any other the many-to-one? I think the pretty much we did. Okay, then this is a very simple many-to-many. So during the first exercise, like the orange software, what happened when you create the many-to-many relationship?
Create a new table.
So some of them automatically create the new table. The other, there's an option whether you populate. So in other words, so we have one table like the, for example, the student. This is the course. How many students? Many students for each course. How many courses for each student? Many. It's a many-to-many relationship. But if you create this one using any designing tool, it may ask, or there's an option after you create, whether you populate, which means create the one table, then create this one. Usually this one is the name of a relationship, like the register, for example. Then it's the ID, then course ID. Course ID will be primary key. Then this ID is in the student. This course ID in the course ID. This is a many-to-many relationship. So, in case of many-to-many, we create add relation table plus 2 body from in between table to this one. So, for example, we have the many-to-many relationship between employee and project. This is a many-to-many. So, and there's hours. Many-to-many. So we create works on. Works on? Yes. Works on the table relation. Then create the primary key. What is the primary key of this one? Combination of employee and project. That is ESSN plus P number. P and P number. Okay, then composite primary key. Then ESSN should be in the this. P number should be in the project number. Plus any attribute. Plus attribute of the relationship will be column of this one, hours. Think about why we need to such a thing. Because we cannot identify hours directly. Okay? This one should be for each employee, for each project. Because of that, we'd better creating separate in between table. So this is the in case many-to-many. The last one-to-many has the different option. For example, where do we have the many one-to-one? Like the manager. This is the manager. Let me go. This is the employee. This is the department. It's the manager. One-to-one, the mapping. One-to-one relationship. At this time, first option is because this is the one-to-one. One-to-one means they are in the same meaning. So we can merge two entities into one because it's one-to-one. Okay, for example, in this case, the first option is merge. Merge means the employee and department table. Okay, then it can be either of them as a key, primary, like the employee ID. Primary key, then add all attributes, including what? Manager start date. Start date will be definitely here. This is the first option. Second option is we can move this one in one of the entity, one of the table. Why? Because it's a one-to-one. It can be either of them. Like the, for example, employee and department. And this is the DNO. Then manager start date going to here. Manager start date. It can be this one, employee. However, if you move the manager start date or the manager information to the employee, some of them are manager, the others are not. The others will be what? Null data. You will have a lot of null data. Because of that, you'd better move this side, mandatory side. This is the mandatory side, department. Okay? So that is the second option. Second option is create two tables and move all attribute of the relationship to one of them. Okay, one of them. Third option is just like the many-to-many. You can create additional table like here. It's a manager table. Then create this employee ID and the department info. Then employee department. You can create additional table, separate table, then create the two foreign key. That is the third option. So create one table and plus two foreign key and proper primary key. In this case, you need to select one of them. In this case, what will be the best option? Number 1, number 2, number 3 in our employee the database. Number 3? 2. Why number 3? And you can just answer.
Because we are taking two different entities in two different tables and then we are combining as a union. So we are taking one common primary key.
One common. We'd rather have the common information here.
Yeah.
Okay. And who answered the second thing? Anyone? Why the second is better than others? Anyone? Who answered the second? Yes.
I mean to add the manager to the department table.
Mm-hmm.
Because we increase the number of the tables,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be easy to access.
Right. So if I were you to design this one, I'd like to select the second. Okay? And the reason is he answered. It's so simple. So it depends also. Depends on what? Your application analysis and other information. For example, in this case, the only information for one-to-one mapping is a start date and manager information. So if you, for example, the first one is not possible, obviously, in this case. Why? We have one-to-many relationship. However, sometimes it may be possible. Only you too much strict. Separate the database project 1, database project 2. Both of them are in the database, but you separate entity. Eventually, it's the one, same thing. So you can combine at that time. Okay? But in this case, we have the one-to-many. So this is not possible. So we need to consider either this one and this one. The last case, the second case, last case, this one. When you have a lot of information for manager, like the 1,000 attributes, and this is very important to manage. Okay, to manage a lot of application transaction access only manager. At that time, you'd better create the in-between table. Okay, such a common information. However, in this case, mostly it's only start date. It can be just one additional attribute. If we create another table, it will be more complicated, as he mentioned. So in this case, just move start date, either of them. But we discussed that. It can be employee table. However, not many employees are manager. So we can move the attribute to this one. Plus, at that time, we need to create the manager social security number should be in the employee. Okay, you need to create the foreign. So this time we are going to create the manager to SSN and start date. This manager social security number should be in the employee. Okay, so this is what you need to do. Most of the case is you can create create the foreign key only. Okay, you can create the foreign key only, not in between table, but sometimes, rare case, you can. But merge is not usually happen. Merge is in case you too strict to the design during the conceptual model. Okay, that is a step 3. I think including some of the steps. The next one is we take care of most of them except location. Okay, location of department. So multi-value attribute. In case of the multi-value, we are going to create table. Okay, plus proper foreign key. For example, in this case, we have the location, DPT location. What will be the primary key? Location name plus D number, DN. Why? HR maybe in New York. Payroll maybe in New York also. So to be unique, like this one, and DNO should be D number. Okay. Any attribute like the location name or the address or the whatever you can add over here. Actually, somebody may be curious. So what if we include this one into the DPT? You may have the multiple location for the HR, LA and New York. How many data you need to create? You need to create the two data, two tuples, which means it's a violate of what? Primary key. It's a violate of primary key. Why? Because if we go back the beginning of the relational model allows single value only. What if we allow the multiple value like the object-oriented concept, like the object? Yes, you can do that. That will be called object-oriented database or object relational database. However, in terms of relational model, if we have the multi-value, always whenever access the data, we need to take care of the multi-value. How often do you access the data? Millions times, trillions times. For each trillionth time, if you consider the multi-value, it takes a long time. It will be overhead. It will be slow. Because of that, the relational database is still used a lot. Like the online transaction processing, like the stock market trading. How long it takes when you transfer the data, transfer your money? It takes just less than a second. Because even though we have the billions of transactions, just using single value, using primary key, it doesn't take a time. That's the benefit, and also that is the limitation of the relational database. We will discuss more throughout the semester. So we create the multi-value one. Okay, that's pretty much done. Okay, any missing? We will see we already convert the one-to-one, and one-to-many, and the many-to-many at the in-between table here. Then the multi-value attribute, DPT location. Then we will see this one later. So this is our expected output. So compare this one and this one, and get the idea how to convert. Yes?
After requirement analysis, why do you convert ER diagram to our tables in relational model?
Why do we need to convert this one? So because the ER model is not for computer, it's just conceptual.
So
in your mind, it's not used for the database programming or even the database the model. It's just organize your idea, okay, in your mind.
So why don't we directly create a...
Yes. So his question is, why don't we directly create this one? If you have the 5 entities, or 5 tables, or 3 tables, or even the 10 tables, you can do that. What if you have when I joined, I mentioned about the first time when I joined the IT department as a database administrator. So I had a first meeting with the project manager. So when I enter his room is much smaller than my office. It's very small, but 3 sides of his room covered by ER diagram. Actually, he print out, it's 30 years ago, print out all the ER diagram. Then he said you need to manage the database model eventually. So can you guess how many tables, how many entities? It's more than 2,000. Okay, 2,000 tables. If you directly create a table, then sometimes it's redundant. As I mentioned, if the database guy, database developer, database administrator, database designer, what they really hate thing is redundant. In case you have the redundant information, it is slow, it is really, really hard to manage the data. Okay? You don't know where data is, and if your address is here and there, you need to update every time. Also, if you have such a duplicate redundant data, if you take out this, remove this, your all the data will be removed and something like that. That is called the anomaly. We will see the little bit more such anomaly situation later. We also seen the before during the relational model. Because of that, we are going to, as I mentioned, you already did the database project, creating the table. As I suggest, forget about such a knowledge. Just follow the step by step. Even the company database is simple. Okay? But in your project, it should be a little bit more complicated. I know some of you already use such a database, similar database, but intentionally follow the step by step to get the kind of experience. Okay, that's a good question. So then that is I think the relational schema diagram here. Please connect. Okay, these should be connected. And this one, only one primary key, one primary key, one primary key. And so arrow, whenever you draw the diagram, relational schema diagram, starting from the not entity. It's not table, not relation, it's from the attribute by attribute. So it is good idea, starting from manager SSN to SSN directory. Okay? So this is the suggestion. What if I have the composite? Sometimes you may have the composite. Okay? That should be actually the one attribute, but the intentionally you separate. But for the referential integrity, so for example, just an example, ESSN piano should exist ESSN piano somewhere. At that time, there are two options. You can create the composite foreign key, or instead you can create additional key, surrogate key for that. So in your designing process, you'd better have combine the attribute. Then it's but just in case if you need, you will see in the next homework such an example, composite foreign key. Okay, yes.
As we making the two keys as our primary key, it is best idea to make that two attribute as a primary key or use a unique ID as a primary key for that.
It depends also. Okay, the two. His question is in case we have the two candidate key. Okay, two keys in the ER model. Then one of them is composite. Another one is a single attribute. Then single attribute is always better than the composite. We cannot say. So most important part is your functional analysis. What is the meaning of your application? Okay. Yes.
In some situation, it is found that the composite key may reduce our speed of the database.
Oh yes, that sometimes it can be the problem.
So it is best idea to create one.
Not best, it may be possible.
Okay.
You need to decide.
Yeah.
Okay, not always the sequence. His question is, what if we convert any composite key into the sequence number, ID number? Not always, but mostly many of the database designers use such ID number. Because of that, if you see the real life, the relational schema diagram or the database, a lot of ID, number, or sequence, something like that. Because not always, okay, depending on your situation, so you can select, okay. And also, it is hard to keep track of the meaning of a primary key. If you are using just ID, what kind of ID is this? Really, somebody defined the primary key as ID. Then, I skip the naming rule. So I think the last class, even some of the students asked, why D number or DNO? It doesn't matter, even you can create the attribute like the A1, A2, A3, there might be no problem. but it will be the problem to understand the meaning of your database. Like just as if you are using the something naming rule in your programming, especially the object-oriented programming, you use a certain naming rule. But what if I create the class as a C1? Is it error? No, it's not error. So you can create as long as you follow the Java naming rule, basic naming rule. Then they don't care the semantic meaning of the attribute. It's strongly suggested to use the meaningful name. Database is the same thing, but database is not stronger regarding to the naming rule, not stronger than the programming. But still, it needs the naming rule. Mostly, your project manager provide such a naming rule. It's a domain specific. Like when I was in the banking system as a database, so we had a rule like always a full letter. Any table should have the full letter of the category of the database. Like the I means first letter is the online, okay, and B is the batch job. So like the IEXN is the online exchange service, foreign exchange service. So it's the IEXN underbar CUST means customer. The foreign exchange customer will be stored. So like that, most of the project manager provides such a naming rule. So local such a naming rule is more important. And then the attribute is the same thing. Like always some of the manager like add a PK, any primary key. So for example, D number underbar PK as a primary key attribute to easily recognize which one is the primary key or not. So you do better follow such a naming. You should actually follow such a naming. But in your project, as long as I can recognize your name is okay, but you'd better also have in your mind so such the naming. Then database is not case sensitive. However, depending on DBMS, they have the little bit case sensitive. Like the MySQL, sometimes you cannot. The MySQL has the case sensitive on the table name and so on. But in general, it's not case sensitive. But you do that. Most of the system, not system project, they have the capital letter for the table name, attribute for the capital letter. Okay, attribute name for the letter. Also, sometimes this is SSN. This one is also SSN. To differentiate which one is the major one, this is SSN. Then this is the referencing. So ESSN, employee SSN. We can understand such a way. So use the proper. I know the proper is not the clear definition, but you better use as long as we can understand it a bit. Right? But if you use ESN instead of ESN EID, something totally different. Misunderstand. You can make the user misunderstand your database. That is the naming rule. Okay. Actually, when I was database administrator, it's really the naming rule. So we need to get the approval from the audit. There is a audit department to manage such a database. So audit department first approve the name of that. Otherwise, the development or the group, they do not know which one is which. So first get the approval and populate to the development group. Then we can create a table, and so on. Okay, so that is the things except the analysis. Let me explain the step 7 using the slide. So far we talk about such a converting into the relational schema diagram based on what? Binary relationship, 2 table case. What if 3 table? We talk about the binary relationship, like the supplier, supply, item to project. Like this one, supplier, supply part to the project. How can we create. Is there any the foreign key that combine? No, it's not possible. So we need to convert this one into like the one of the options that we discussed. One of them is creating the in-between table. We create the supply table and create the binary, binary, binary. Or we can create binary, binary, binary. So, but most popular one is this approach. At that time, in between, table supply has the composite primary by combining all of this. Or you can create supply ID as a primary key. This will be foreign key, this will be foreign key, this will be foreign key. Either way is fine, depending on the situation or your understanding of your database. Okay, so this is the example of the ternary relationship. This is the summary what we have discussed so far. So, any question? 10 more minutes. Pretty much easy. Most of the concept that we discuss right now is very easy to understand, but it's not easy in real life, really. Because of that, anyone who start to search your job, when are you going to graduate? 2018? Please start right now. Build your career. So even though you are not working for the company, so I suggest in the last week, the Friday, during the extra exercise lab, so nowadays some of the employer, so they direct employees, so the company, they direct to see your experience. So when I search the job, my friend, I search a job in academia, but they direct to say resume, whether you did the real project, at least the research project, or even the classroom project from the resume. They don't believe your resume. Instead, they try to see something demo side. But nowadays, even they don't want to see the demo side or something such a thing instead. So why don't you show the GitHub if you manage? What is a GitHub? It's the project management tool, kind of online the project management tool. So, but nowadays many of the developer or the freelancer, they put the source or the project source if they are available for public and the upload. Also another thing is stateflow.com. They can easily search what you ask and what you answer. So build your career from now on. So even classroom project, you can upload your code to the GitHub. Then the more fork you got, fork means it's a copy kind of the sync. Then the many people are using your code, which means it's popular and you are maybe the reliable, such a thing. So start your job searching. But when you search the job, you may realize the database part is really weird. Like always experience, at least 3 years, 5 years experience on the physical database design or logical database design and something like that. Because of this one, okay? So it's not very attractive to show that I did the classroom project. Instead,